Let's join our colleague Abongile Dumako, who was covering that story in our Pretoria studios. So Abongile, first of all, what did the judge have to say and what was the final outcome?
Good evening, Tsepi. So certainly a passionate plea coming out of Judge Moses Mavundla earlier today, where he said this thing of the PAC has been going far too long, that a compromise needs to be reached, actually ordering all the involved parties to actually take upon themselves today, that is, to actually sit on the round table and come up with a compromise solution that will see a united and one PAC taking to the polls on May the 8th. This happened, of course, earlier today, and of course around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock this afternoon, they came back to the court with a united front saying that they will be able to reach that amicable solution which will see them participating in these coming elections. Of course, Narius Moloto will be the leader of this party heading to the polls. His deputy will be Mzwanele, Nyhontso, whom we know that he was actually elected as the president in the Kimberley Conference. And of course, Abapo will continue to be the general secretary of the party. The other agreements that have been reached by these factions, they include, of course, the lists of those potential candidates who will take to the poll, will take to parliament if a PAC does sort of garner a much anticipated support ahead of this election. And of course, they get to win a few seats. We understand as well that Mzwanele Nyhontso will be number one on the list to represent the PAC in parliament. And of course, Altinem Petty will also take to that list and head to parliament, and of course the rest will include your Lutando Mbinda and others. But we don't know, of course, as to how are they going to make it a point that this unity continues to be the order of the day. We've seen them pulling each other in and out of court for the past couple of years.
So I want to talk about exactly that, Abongile. What is the decision regarding the status of Altinem Petty as a member or as a leader of the PAC? Are the courts still to rule on that?
The courts are yet to rule on that, but we understand that this agreement that has been reached today includes Altinem Petty as one of those who shall take to parliament and represent the party at number 2 in as far as the list is concerned after Mzwanele Nyhontso. But her case is yet to be listened to by the High Court here in Gauteng, Judge Moses Mavundla, saying that he will actually listen carefully as to what are some of the nitty-gritties that surround Altinem Petty as the member or even the leader of the PAC. You remember that he did take to parliament a couple of years ago as a member of the party. He subsequently was actually suspended from the party, which saw him vacating that vacant position in parliament, which he was actually replaced by Lutando Mbinda. So it remains to be seen whether or not he will remain a leader of the party, one of the leaders in the party, or maybe just an ordinary member. But we know for sure that if PAC wins some substantial amount of votes, he will take to parliament as number 2 in the list, will represent the party.
So is that it from Judge Mavundla, or do the parties go back to court tomorrow, Abongile?
Yes, tomorrow it's a matter of Judge Mavundla baptizing the decision that has been, reached in as far as this agreement are concerned. They have been read in court by the legal representatives of all the parties involved, the factions and everybody. He said that he just needed these agreements typed and submitted to him officially in his office, and then he'll make that much awaited pronouncement, which actually gives a go-ahead for the PAC as a united front to take to the polls come May 8th. And of course, in time, so for the registration with the Independent Electoral Commission, which is actually, the deadline is Wednesday next week, then they'll be able to pay that amount of 600,000 rand with a deposit of 200,000 rand, which actually guarantee them a spot onto the ballot paper of the IEC, which will have a face, of course, of Narius Moloto as the leader.
All right, thanks a lot, Abongile. We'll leave it then. Of course, we are going to speak to the 4 PAC leaders here in studio in just a moment.